Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the L1 show, Links with Friends. Today is Valentine's Day. One more day till really cheap candy. We're doing business and social stories for your romance needs.
Sacrifice your physical health for your mental health. And unfortunately, you might need a little boost because today, once again, we have a collapse section. Not as bad as it was last week.
Last week was pretty rough.
But I think it's probably good if you get your story of layoffs out with the pack, right? You don't want to trickle out afterwards because then
everyone's going to be looking at you.
Yeah, it's not going to be hidden amongst all the melees. So Jet Propulsion Labs didn't get the memo.
JPL to lay off 8% of its workforce. That's a lot. They're not immediately going to work for SpaceX, but...
And this one, I feel bad for the rocket scientists. I don't feel bad for anybody who worked for these monsters.
23andMe reportedly mulling split of company to maintain listing.
Because their stock is so low in value that they will be delisted soon. I don't think that'll save them.
I just don't know why it was valuable in the first place, given what they do. It's just like, we're the phone book company.
And Alibaba, I don't know if we covered them, but they have been laying off quite a bit over time, and we now have a total for their 2023 layoffs.
Alibaba layoffs. What to know about the latest Baba job cuts? It was like what movie? Oh, that's the John Wick movies. What was it? The Baba Donk? Is that the thing?
Baba Yaga.
Baba Yaga.
Is it?
Yeah.
Boogeyman? I don't remember what the exact phrase. They've laid off a lot. And
DocuSign to lay off 6% of its workforce, or about 440 jobs. I feel like that there's a stand-up comic somewhere that has a skit about, it's like, what do you do? It's like, well, we take your files and we store them on a server online. We take your files and we allow you to sign them in a web browser. It's just like, oh, yes, we have hundreds of thousands of employees. And it's like...
Seems like I could do that. And another one that makes total sense to me, although maybe the youth don't understand it. I don't know. You do hear a lot of people. It's like, oh, can I get your snap? Let me get that snap.
Snap to lay off 10% of global workforce, around 500 employees. Well, this is what you get for snitching.
And those drones. They made a bad call with the drones. And here's one that is not layoffs, but a hint, a strong hint
of things to come.
Spotify CEO slams Apple in its earnings call and hints at more cuts. So Spotify is saying, Apple, we're really popular with Apple users. They won't give us our cut.
How is Spotify not making any money? That's astonishing. But the chips are still going quite well, and they are still being gobbled up by everybody who wants to get in the AI game, which means if you make them, things are still good, and unlike everybody else, you get to grow.
TSMC to build second Japan chip factory, raising a $20 billion investment. So, yeah, that makes sense, because they're trying to build a chip factory here, and it's like, wow, Americans, this is...
Them and their safety regulations.
It's a problem. As in Japan, it's like, wow, this is amazing.
They literally said, they didn't call it America, but they literally said, in Japan, we find skilled workers and a welcoming government, which would lead us to believe that in America, neither of those are true.
I would believe that, sadly. How do we fix that?
I believe that there's skilled workers. I think that they probably aren't giving them the best info to build that stuff.
It can be hard to connect, though. There's a lot of signal to noise. Like, the signal to noise ratio there is not good. Like, engagement challenge, this is something that our audience might actually not be terrible for, is like, how should TSMC approach, like, finding those skilled candidates? Because all the traditional methods will not work.
They're probably using AI the same as everyone else to like filter through their resumes, so they never even see the people who actually...
What you do is you get people to submit a resume, then you get them to fill out online forms that contain all the same information as the resume, then you let an AI reject all of them.
And then say, nobody wants to work anymore, let's bring in the people who will work for pennies.
Only the most desperate will make it through that process, and then when you interview those people, it's like, yeah, that paints a far bleaker picture, doesn't it?
Well, it's also a bleak picture if you are someone who enjoys having landline phones, because quite simply, the phone companies, who, by the way, were paid to make these infrastructures. They got tax dollars for this. This is not coming out of their pocket. But these days they're like, we just can't keep it up.
AT&T applies to end obligation to service landlines in California. Also, guess what happens during natural disasters? Cell phones stop working. Guess what keeps working? Landlines. Landlines were literally built to survive nuclear holocaust originally.
Also, in some cases, I think, like my mom has a pacemaker, and I think hers can go over her cell phone now. But for a long time, she had to have a landline just so they could like monitor it.
That's still pretty dangerous to depend on a
Yeah, on
wireless
cell,
signal.
yeah.
And then I think it's true of you as well. But if I don't have the Wi-Fi running, my phone really doesn't work where I am.
Yeah, yeah. I live in the middle of nowhere. Scooby-Doo ghost town adjacent.
Oh man, if only we had fiber optic instead of copper lines everywhere, this wouldn't even be a conversation.
They just need more money, and then they'll do it this time.
Well, don't worry, because your new phone will be satellite connected, and then it can track you everywhere you go. And if Apple has anything to do with it, it'll be an exciting new form factor.
Apple develops a foldable clamshell iPhone, at least according to squinting at patent applications.
The article I saw about this was like they're running into the same issues that everyone else had about foldable phones, where it's like it's not really that great.
Yeah. Apple's currently was like, we moved to ARM. Everything is so much better. And it's like you had amazing generational uplift from x86 to ARM, and then since then it has been a worse IPC uplift than the Haswell days of Intel. Come on.
But my phone fits in my pocket. I don't really find myself like hating the size of my phone.
It's a little harder for me. I can't use a lot of phones one-handed very well because my hands are small, and phones have gotten larger.
Have you tried maybe just getting bigger hands?
I've tried, but apparently these are attached. So
We got a story that could fix that later on. That would be on Friday, I think. Well, Apple, you can enjoy your clamshell phone. You can enjoy your Vision Pro headset. And as we've seen, you can enjoy it in every venue that you go, whether you're walking on the street, driving, eating out, whatever. Just wear it at all times. But there is one time that you must not wear it.
Adult content is a no-go for the Apple Vision Pro.
I like the caption on this picture. She's smiling, but not because she's using it for that.
So, yeah.
You can watch 3D movies on it.
But not those guys. How does it tell?
How does it tell? Yeah.
Is it the website that you're going to?
And then if it can tell, it's like, uh-oh. How does it know? Apple's always, it's like, I always felt the hand of Apple whenever I have to use an Apple device because I can hear it breathing in my ear, and he's got a little bit of a rattle going on. He might want to get checked out.
Well, that's not the only thing you have to worry about if you're using your Pro headset. You also have to worry about forgetting, because if you forget, there is no recovery.
PSA, you'll have to visit an Apple store if you forget your Vision Pro passcode.
My mom will never get one of these.
I'm surprised the number of people that are like, there's a lot of people that have posted to social media and even our forum. It's like, I got my Vision Pro.
I mean, it might eventually be cool. But I think it's still early adopter territory.
You know what you do when you see posts like that? Click ignore user. And new PCs, the PC sales are not on fire right now, but maybe this could change everything because the next PC you buy will probably have an item that your current one does not.
IDC forecasts artificial intelligence PCs to account for nearly 60% of all PC shipments by 2027. So people really do want a low response time, interactive large language model that you can just talk to, which is possible with current off-the-shelf hardware, but not necessarily a combination of hardware that appears in most desktop computers.
So whether it's a CPU that's designed for that or a GPU, they're counting that as the 60%. And we have talked about the Amazon USB drives, those like 20 terabyte USB drives that you can get for $3 on Amazon. Those aren't real. And they're not real for the same reason that this headline exists.
Report reveals decline in quality of USB sticks and micro SD cards because low-quality NAND chips are finding their way into higher margin items than those, and only the most bottom-of-the-barrel dregs are left for USB sticks and micro SD cards.
If you are ordering those promotional, like get 500 USB sticks with your logo on them, they're probably going to be micro SD cards soldered in or otherwise bad chips. Watch out for that.
They barely work.
And it seems that a lot of electric vehicles barely work. And the industry has kind of turned sour on them and gone back to the one that everybody liked.
GM reverses all-in EV strategy to bring back plug-in hybrids. Meaning that it's not going to be all-in on EV.
Hybrid does seem like the best of both worlds, right? Like for short trips, you could just use it.
Although I think after like 5-6 years, or the ever how many miles that would average out to, you still have the same battery problem. And replacing that battery is very expensive, similar to the EV batteries, unfortunately. Well, Wendell, you got the watch that's monitoring you.
Sadly.
Rings are becoming a thing now, but here's one that nobody thought of before, which seems kind of obvious.
U.S. researchers engineered tiny ear rings to track stress, menstrual
Periods.
cycle, and more.
Just say periods.
Can we? I think we can say that, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a bodily
Well,
function.
maybe we're talking about punctuation. It's not very attractive, but I guess you could put like a gem on top of it. I wonder how much. Like, does it need to be open for the cooling?
Pro criminal tip: don't let anything track your period.
Yeah, there is that whole abortion situation where maybe the cops really are actually looking at that. Which, how dystopian is that?
That's messed up.
It's messed up, and there's going to be a new place for you to go that will probably be even more messed up than that, because these evil people will be in charge of it.
Disney invests $1.5 billion in Fortnite maker Epic Games to build a persistent video game universe.
Ew.
Disney and Epic
Anytime I hear
Games.
the word Disney, it's just,
It's
ugh.
just starting to have second thoughts about Tim Sweeney.
Disney magic without leaving your home. And so they're going to have like user-generated experience with Star Wars.
Is it gonna be like Roblox?
I guess. I really don't understand it.
I was surprised how well the Jedi, one of the multiplayer Jedi games actually did really well. And you could play as Darth Vader or Luke occasionally and like have it like the mechanic for that. It was not brain dead.
I think I played the beta of that, and man, they really do a good job with all the sound and graphics working in concert. Like they've nailed down the Star Wars universe completely with that. I was too bad at it though. It's an online shooter, so.
How long until cartoony Darth Vader
Bad
comes?
because bad.
And man, it didn't take long. Netflix kind of knocked down this door, and then there was like just everybody jammed into it all at once. It was like a burning theater, and the door they couldn't get out because they were trying so hard to be the next one to do it.
Disney Plus's restrictions on password sharing are now rolling out to U.S. subscribers. So, yay, even more.
Cancel it, please.
I'm going to build my own. Yes.
And Vision Pro is you're not allowed to have the adult materials, but apparently you're not allowed to have a lot of other things either because a lot of companies were not ready to roll out a product for Vision Pro.
YouTube says a Vision Pro app is quote unquote on the roadmap.
Can't wait to see that added to the cemetery of dead products.
Pretty much every website that does that kind of video, not supported. And I guess it's sudo, right? Yeah. In my mind, it's sudo.
That's how I read it.
Because I've read it before I heard anybody say it so often, I'm never going to be able to reprogram that. But whichever way you say it, it's coming to your favorite Windows machine.
Microsoft is bringing Linux's sudo command to Windows 11. Microsoft continues to embrace Linux. It's been a long time coming. It turns out this is really useful, and they really resisted doing this because there was a lot of memes and hilarious things. It's like, oh, you should just always run an elevated command prompt PowerShell, and it's like, I don't think so.
If you're not hip to it, it's a command, so you don't have to run as the administrator all the time. You can just use this command to temporarily become the administrator, which is very useful for security. Microsoft they weren't on that bandwagon for a while.
They were very, very anti-command line for the longest time, and then they were forced to eat their own dog food with Azure and the cloud, and it's like, man, doing this manually across thousands of machines or through obscure registry settings is annoying. If only we had some sort of like textual interface, and it's like, well, there's 30 years of psychology and history just waiting to be reused. Let's badly reinvent it.
You know who else doesn't do command line? Every mobile operating system. And now there's a new one.
Amazon confirms that Fire TV is dropping Android and deleted job listing. Android does command line.
but they don't let you get to it.
It's too powerful. You're not ready.
Also, I didn't put that story in there, but the Vision Pro, they got that just a USB cable for the developers, $300.
Yeah.
I can't say the words that I want to say about that.
You know the irony though is that if Mossad's in your iPhone, they've got a command line to your iPhone.
And I know that everybody, when you were saying, like, when at the beginning of the year, and you're like, what do I hope is in the future for 2024?
What am I looking forward to?
The number one thing that people wrote down was, I want a new streaming service. There's not enough streaming services.
I need to pay another $10 a month.
Warner, Fox, Disney are going to launch a streaming sports venture. And it's because you're willing to pay a lot more to watch live sports events. And so they're going to find a way to fill that void.
ESPN already has one.
But I think they're getting rolled into this. Oh. And it's going to be a bunch of acronyms and initialisms for all the various sports balls.
ESPN 8, The Ocho, live dodgeball.
That's all it is. They don't have any other sports.
And Microsoft, every week or at least every month, they have to do something really anti-consumer and really stupid. I think it's probably baked into the contract somehow.
Microsoft revives aggressive Windows 11 upgrade campaign with intrusive pop-ups for Windows 10 users.
I got a pop-up saying something about their Copilot stuff earlier today, and I was like, nope.
It doesn't matter. They're going to turn that on anyway.
You have to be careful, though, because they point out that in the past, the X has been treated as, yes, go ahead and install this.
Yeah.
You have to actually go through 5 different steps to say no.
Yeah. I've also been trying to catch Edge doing the thing. I've caught Edge on OBS or something so we can make a video about it, but I've caught Edge doing not just the Chrome bookmarks thing, but it seems like Edge is doing the thing where when you restart, it will reopen what you had in Chrome. Like as part of a Windows update. It's like, I rebooted your computer. I put everything back the way that it was. But in fact, everything is not the way that it was.
But a lot of people wouldn't notice.
Yeah. It's like the car in Ferris Bueller's Day Off where they're like, we got it back. And it's like, no, he didn't.
Well, WeWork was a company that kind of, hit a big stride during the pandemic. And then the commercial real estate market cratered. And now they're worth nothing. So what's the solution?
WeWork's co-founder is trying to buy the company. And he says that the lawyers and everybody else are stonewalling him. I don't know. Okay, so this is maybe conversation time. It seems like this guy is looking at this and saying WeWork actually has some pretty good real estate holdings. The real estate is temporarily depressed. I'm willing to buy it for current market value and just hang on to it because it's obviously worth a lot more. And the lawyers seem to be stonewalling because they agree with him.
No, I think that's pretty simple. He sold high. Now he's looking to buy low. They bought high. They don't want to sell low.
They're trying to figure out how to claw back some of the money that he's got.
Or to go into receivership and get paid because they're lawyers.
Well, if it goes into receivership, he's going to make out like a bandit either way. Although it'd be a little bit more competitive, I guess, in terms of like the real estate. But even if you're not going to use the WeWork office space as offices, I was like, all right, we're going to turn this into fancy lofts or whatever. He would still make a mint.
Well, we talk about Chrome and Edge and their various wars, but Player 3 is unfortunately kind of twisting in the wind. They don't really know what their identity is, but now maybe they found a new identity.
Mozilla has a new CEO to focus on the future.
But I like who they are now.
I don't know this person. I don't know like their work history or like the work that they've done. But I worry because it seems like they have a financial, like not a technical engineering background and more like a...
I want to make money for the shareholders.
Well, they got that weird non-profit profit system. So it seems like she's going to take over and they're going to focus on privacy like their subscription data hoarding thing. Whereas the non-profit will keep making the browser, I guess.
I think Mozilla would be a lot more successful with somebody with bold ideas and of an engineering mindset. And if Mozilla is meant to be, make it what it is meant to be in the next iteration or let it die.
Don't let it die.
We can't go. We don't want to lose the browser.
Well, you wouldn't lose the code base. The code base would continue to live on, but Like,
who's going to bother updating it? That's a death knell. And we could hope that this would be a death knell for these companies, but it won't. But even though it's probably not that big of a burden for them, they'll fight it.
Meta and TikTok challenge fees paid to fund EU's new DSA.
So they're upset because it's profit based. And they're like, hey, X is evil. Remember? That's the new narrative. X is the bad one. We're the good guys. But X is losing money. So X doesn't have to pay anything because they're not making any profits in Europe. Whereas TikTok and Meta making lots of profits in Europe. But these numbers were pretty small. 11 million and 3.9 million.
It's kind of
Like
For them, yeah.
they
That's
don't even
nothing.
notice that.
it's a kind of a perverse incentive system there, isn't it? It's like X has the edge because it's not making any money, and it's like, is the theory there that X is investing more in EU infrastructure, or
Or they're just losing money because they're
Also,
losing money.
let me apologize. I meant Twitter.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for a Twitter alternative, there is now one that has been open to all the filthy masses.
Blue Sky is now open for anyone to join. Blue Sky is the name of Jack Dorsey's
Twitter.
Reimagined Twitter.
It's basically Jack Dorsey's Twitter.
I haven't heard anyone talking about this. Anyone tried it?
I have an account.
It's like when a director does it's like Zack Snyder's Justice League. Jack Dorsey's Twitter, not the old one.
the new Twitter, Blue Sky. Tell us if you're on there. Tell us about it.
And all the watermarking is happening with the various AI image generators. It will now be used for the first time.
Meta to start labeling AI-generated images from companies like OpenAI and Google. I think Linus did a short or something where he was using Samsung's AI Magician, and it put a little AI watermark in the corner, and then he was like, "Hey, use the photo repair tool," and he just cut it around the thing in the corner, and it got rid of the AI labeling.
It's trivial.
It's like, there, I've healed your image, and it's like,
And Reddit, as we can recall, was that last year? They made everybody angry by cutting off API access. And then they went on to make more money. So it worked, which means that everybody's going to do it.
Meta cuts off third-party access to Facebook groups, leaving developers and customers in disarray. Yep.
So you could respond via the group to an individual, which you can't normally do, I guess, through the interface. So they got rid of the entire API. And people were like, what are we supposed to do? And they're like, oh, no, you can do that now in our web interface. Which, of course, people had business models that were based on managing your groups through a third party. Oh, they're all just going to go away. They're done. I mean, when you base your business on Facebook, you kind of deserve it. But what a dick move. And this is actually stale because as of the Tucker Carlson Putin interview, Twitter is number one.
Instagram Threads triples downloads in December, reaching top 10. X falls to number 36, except for it's come roaring back. Wonder why. Oh, wait. We know.
And the EU has made various demands about what you have to do to operate in their country, and that whole interoperability thing, it seems like maybe we'll get it.
WhatsApp will soon offer third-party chat support to comply with the European Union.
They haven't said who, though.
Why is this happening with WhatsApp ahead of green bubbles versus blue bubbles? Like, are they just afraid of Apple? Like,
Well, it's been interesting.
Wouldn't you be afraid of their lawyers?
I can't remember what the quote was exactly here, but they kind of laid it out to say that green bubbles might still be a thing for us. Like, we're not guaranteeing all the functionality to the third parties. We're just guaranteeing that they can use it. So I think it's going to be almost exactly like an Apple situation.
Yeah, the stuff that Apple has done to break mobile web and to break progressive web apps in the EU is just, it's the most amazingly petty stuff that I've ever seen.
Oh, here it is. So here's the line that I think they're going to drive the truck through.
Third-party chats and someone's, what does it say?
WhatsApp native chats may not achieve feature parity.
Yeah.
In other words, green bubbles.
No.
And finally, we test whether or not Mr. Musk will actually pay the legal bills for people who were victimized by posting on his platform.
The Raw story headline is Star Wars actor sues Disney with funding from Elon Musk's ex, which is not with, I would say because of. Like, that would be the correction that I would issue to that header. Elon Musk is having a bit of a spat with Disney, and she is a pawn, and she does not realize it.
Or she realizes and doesn't care.
Yeah, I mean,
she's famous. Do you think you're going to get the same treatment from Musk?
I think Disney has better lawyers than Musk.
I also think that. Musk's lawyers they have so many lawsuits to deal with. And they're just like, I don't know which one to start with.
Another one, Elon? What are you thinking?
So she put her preferred pronouns as boop, bop, beep, and people didn't like that. She got fired from, what was the name of that show? The Bounty Hunter? Mandalorian. And so now she's saying that was wrongful for her to be fired.
I think she said a bunch of stuff publicly, too, and I don't know.
It was a while ago.
Well, it was all on Twitter.
It was like a year ago. Yeah.
I didn't even look into it because I just didn't have the energy.
The other issue is that she said some stuff that people interpreted incorrectly. I can't remember exactly what it was, but then the star of that show made some similar comments, and he was fine.
Oh, because he. Is that why the pronoun change?
No, I think that's just because she's right wing. She's publicly against the narrative.
Interesting. Well, we've got a lot of nonsense lined up for Friday.
What's she wearing on her head?
It's haute couture. It's called fashion. Look it up, sweetie. Have you seen? I didn't put this in. I should have put this in. I can't pronounce this word ever. It's Schiaparelli. So they do like kind of weird avant-garde fashion. They did their spring collection like a week ago. They released it. One of the images is just a woman in a dress, and she's holding a baby made out of old technology. It's amazing.
Was that also the same show that had the technology dress?
Yes.
I was like, this looks like something from the 80s.
Yeah, it was. It's not supposed to be something you wear every day. It's haute couture, but it's very cool.
Do you think those models know before they show up that they're going to be carrying the technology baby, or is it just like, here's the technology baby?
Yeah, you probably don't know. You just know, like, it's a Schiaparelli show, so it's like, well, it's probably going to be weird. So, anyway.
It looks like it is crazy that all of the predictions from the Fifth Element fashion are basically coming true.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of us are going to be carrying that around a couple seasons from now, but it may influence fashion in some other way. Like, in 2020, they did a dress that had, like, gold, and it looked like the brachia, or however you pronounce that word, the part of your lungs that, like, fills up. And then you started seeing that kind of detail in jewelry a few years later. But not, like, a whole part of a dress.
I'm never going to be a part of that world.
It's interesting. I don't know. Maybe in a few years we'll all be carrying tech babies around. We'll see. Level 1 predicts. Bye!